Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode of the Rule 34 podcast. I'm your host, Jack, joined by my fellow co-hosts.
Tumby's worker.
Yes. Oh, I forgot to mention, today I'm Jack with a clogged ear. And I don't know if the audio picked up on it, but if it did, and I know he'll listen to this later, bless you times 2, Pops. I don't know if the audio picked up on him sneezing. Bless you again. But, so, how have you been, Mr. Tumby's worker?
It's been a pretty okay week. We just got finished with finals, thankfully. So at this point, I think school ends for me the 31st of May. So we already have them there. But yeah, finals were pretty tough. Hopefully I passed all my classes. If not, well then I guess I tried it. The majority of the week has been pretty okay. Work has been pretty okay. I get paid this week, so that's a good thing. Recently, I have been looking after a couple of relatives of mine, so that they could get like a vacation, and I paid like around $700 just so they could get a flight out to somewhere, which is like my biggest purchase yet, like in one go. So I guess that was something interesting that happened. Other than that, nothing else really much is happening. I've lost like $100 in terms of like Dogecoin value, so I guess that's an unfortunate thing.
Sold.
Other than that, Robin,
you should have sold.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep holding. There's no point in selling.
I know what I'm saying, like earlier on.
Yeah, true. But I made like my maximum that I made. I threw in like $400 worth of Dogecoin. But I only made like $50, like my maximum, which was like at its peak at the moment. So I didn't feel comfortable selling, even if I made $50. And right now I'm like $40 down the drain, I think, one below. And yeah, pretty cool, pretty crazy.
Interesante. I am not in finals week. I actually finished up some midterms last week.
Yeah.
But I am approaching finals week. I think I'm finishing up week 7, so there's like week 8, week 9, and week 10 left, and a lot of classes are already talking about finals, so we're already getting prepared for that.
Yeah, how were your mids?
Pretty good. One of them, it was like, it involved, because it's an art history class.
Right.
It involves, the midterm for that class involved, looking at artworks and kind of explaining their significance, like 2 artworks. And so I got, I think, a 95 on that.
Nice.
And I don't think I've seen my grade for the other one. And then the other class, like I told you last time, it only has like a final paper and that's it.
Right. Oh, jeez. Have you got your... Wait, do you know if you're going to be doing summer courses over the summer?
I don't plan to.
You don't plan to, okay.
Especially because financial aid doesn't cover it.
Oh, yeah, that's too good. Wait, do you know if, like, let's say you get bad grades, like, in your last quarter, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, like, in order to go into your sophomore year, because I'm assuming you would need enough units to transfer to your sophomore year, right?
I believe so.
So, let's say you don't have enough units. Would you be forced to take summer courses?
More than likely.
But let's say you can't afford those summer courses.
Ooh, I don't know. Maybe they might send you to like a community college to take like supplementary courses that might fulfill the need.
Right. Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Especially because that way it would be cheaper.
Yeah.
But
Well,
other than school, I don't think anything more has happened. Just yesterday, though, I completed my first blind playthrough of Near Automata.
oh, right. How was it?
I don't know if I got the true ending, but in my opinion, from I don't know what the other endings look like, but the ending I got was really good. I think it was like I'll see compared to when I get the other ones if it's still the best in my mind. But I got ending A, and it took. At the end of the game, I looked 16 hours in total was how long it took
Jeez.
to complete my first blind playthrough. And that was with like towards like the end, just kind of like because I think there was more for me to do because there was still a lot of like side quests and stuff. But like I started just doing a lot of the main quests and progressing through.
Right. But like, which ending did you unlock? Because like,
A.
Number 8 or
A.
oh A. Oh my bad.
I don't necessarily want to say too much just in case if anyone plans to play it, but it was a pretty good ending.
Doesn't it tell you what sort of ending it is? Like, there's the true ending, the good ending, the bad ending. Or like...
It did not.
Oh, okay. But like, I believe like half of the endings are like joke endings or like not canon endings. Does that make sense?
Like one of the endings I got through with that playthrough along with A was ending I think it's W, and that's just dying straight at the like start, like first mission almost.
Right. Personally, my first playthrough, I died like in the introduction. I didn't get that ending. And so I don't know what's up with that. But yeah, crazy. Good game.
Yeah, definitely a really good game. I plan to put more hours into it to try and get the different endings. What is there, like 26? 27?
Might be 26, 27.
Yeah, it's an insanely packed game. I know I've like talked about it a lot, but like generally I truly love the game because of its amazing soundtrack, its amazing visuals. It's got so much to it. And despite it being, in a sense, like a limited world space, because it's still pretty big, but it's very, like, limited in a sense, it still, like, makes the most of, like, each setting.
Right. I feel like if you like those sort of games, you should really try out the Yakuza series. And I know I've pretty much been bashing you on playing that game, but it's honestly a really good, like, each game is, like, jam-packed with just things to explore around. And it has, like, fighting, good soundtrack, a good story with each game that, you know, continues off what you happened in the last. And, good characters, too, I ain't gonna lie. The main guy, he's pretty, you know, badass. I ain't gonna lie.
Well, speaking of, Nier and Yakuza, it brings us to one of the topics that, or like, just as like a type of question to really like discuss as we bring this up. But like, when it comes to video games, what matters most to you? Like when you're playing a video game, and like, I guess like what matters most to you when it comes to wanting to like play a video game and invest your time into it?
Right. I feel like it would be, how do you call it? When I play a game, it usually comes to three things: the amount of time you place into it, the actual story itself. I don't really care about length. Like the story could be short, but if it's super enticing, then yeah, I'll enjoy it. And the third thing is, this is gonna sound stupid, but how do you call it, the quality of the game, if that makes sense. Like if the game runs well in terms of the frame rate or the resolution. If that makes sense.
So like the visual standpoint of it.
The visual, yeah.
I get you. So you're one that like cares a lot about the graphics and the look of the game and how well it runs.
Because like the graphics on their own, like they could like bring something like along with the story. If that makes sense. Like imagine you're on Armada, but with like a 4K, resolution update from 2017. Because the game came out 2017. It came out 2018, 2017.
2017.
2017. Now imagine that, but with like a 4K update, which like enhances the world, makes the characters more shaded and detailed. Like imagine that.
Yeah, I get.
You get a good story and an even better resolution. Because I'm pretty sure the game's capped at 1080p. I think, right?
I wouldn't know.
I think I'm not sure. But yeah. Then there's the story, of course. Every game needs a good story. If it's a boring story and it's not enticing, then why waste your time playing with it?
Yeah.
There's some really good games that like last hours, possibly even days. Like Corpse Party. Yeah, I'm not sure if you know what Corpse Party is, but it's like a horror themed game where you like run around in a school, trying to you're being chased by ghosts and stuff like that. You're trying to solve a puzzle to escape, some sort of different dimension. But it takes hours because it's just a lot of dialogue. But the dialogue is so enticing that you just want to know what's going to happen next and blah 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 blah. Yeah. Then there's the third point, the quality, no, not the quality, the gameplay. So a good story is good, but like when you incorporate too much like grinding effects, like to some people, I mean, I understand the point of grinding is like you want to keep like leveling up your character so that you can feel satisfied for when you defeat the final boss with all the hard work you put in. But if you make it too grinding to the point where it's like you're doing the same mission just to gain a certain amount of XP over time, it kind of destroys the immersion, right? So for like example, the Marvel's Avengers game. It came out last year, I think. The game is sort of okay, but it got destroyed heavily in terms of reviews because the nature of grinding just to like level up specific like characters over time. Not only that, you have to level up each like hero, right? And so that just made the game, how do you call it, cosmetically long, if that makes sense.
Don't remind me.
Yes. And basically, when a game is made cosmetically long for no reason, but just to throw in extra hours into the game, it kind of destroys its immersion.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
But
you gotta
like,
find a balance.
Yeah, exactly. A game can be indeed grinded, just so like the player can receive some satisfaction. But over time, it must be given like, how do you call it, like an extra bonus, right? Like, oh, you defeated this level 10 times in a row without any flaw. You gain extra bonus points or whatever.
Yeah.
But as long as it doesn't hurt the story in terms of just simply prolonging it, it's a good game.
Yeah, I get what you mean. Personally, like I said, how you have to have a balance. I think the one company that really does a good job with that is Square Enix, with a lot of their, JRPGs and stuff. Whether it's Dragon Quest, Final Fantasy, games like Nier. Yeah, with games like Nier and stuff, they always do like a really good job of balancing, the grind effect while also progressing through the stories, They do a really good job in it when they combine, things like where in order to level up, you usually go along with the quest and maybe even complete a couple side quests to get some extra levels in if you want to get like a bit higher of a level before you enter certain main quests,
Like Bloodborne.
Bloodborne as well.
Right. I feel like I personally don't like it when they add in like they call it a level minimum, like to like enter like a specific level. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
Like if you're willing to like take the challenge to like fight a big boss at a lower level, I think you should be allowed to do that. Because once they throw in like a oh, you need a specific level for like a weapon or like a specific I don't know, like health bonus for an armor piece or something. Then that just incentivizes again the grinding thing, and then you're pretty much locked out of the game until you actually do that thing. Not every player is like that.
Yeah, or when there's ones where like it's all based around like leveling up different like skills, and they lock like an ability or something from you until you get like that like certain skill level up to a certain point.
Yeah, exactly.
Like Borderlands. Like Borderlands, there's some weapons that you get that are a higher level that you need. Like say you're level 18, but yet when you're playing, sometimes it gives you like a level like say 21 weapon and stuff like that. Or like, you never heard of the new game Outriders?
I've never heard of it. No.
So Outriders is another Square Enix game. It's kind of like Borderlands. Like it's kind of like that type of grind game.
Right.
But the difference about it is, there's different world tiers that you get to do. So me and my friend play it, and we're like say we're level 16, but we're in a world tier that is like level 22 and up. So we get weapons that are higher. But what's cool about it is that it doesn't require you to be that level. You get me? To be in the world tier or to use the guns that are higher because of the world tier. So what I like about it is that, granted, yeah, the enemies are a little bit more higher, but you get more XP and you get guns that are better than the like higher valuable weapons, and you get to use them straight off the bat instead of trying to like level up to unlock them. You get me?
Yeah.
But you should look into Outriders. I think you might like that game.
Right. Okay. But yeah, he's got a point. It's like the same thing in like Cyberpunk and stuff like that, and like many other games, where like you're given a high level weapon, you can't use it until you get to that level.
Yeah. And equally, like how I was saying, you got to find a balance between the grind. You have to have that balance, because while you don't want a game where it's like you're forced to, like how you were saying, grind all the time to the point where you aren't even able to enjoy the full game because you're too busy, grinding all this and stuff.
Yeah.
You don't want the opposite, where your game is too easy that like you just breeze through it and like there's barely anything memorable about it.
That's true, yeah.
Like the biggest example I'll give is, yes, as you grow up, Pokemon shouldn't be hard, compared to when you were a child.
Yeah.
But like inherently, Pokemon has always been an easy game, but that doesn't mean that they never really made it challenging, Like the examples I can give that Pokemon fans will know are Cynthia in Pokemon Diamond and Pearl, and oh my gosh, I forget the guy's name, but it starts with a G in the Pokemon Black and White games. Like they've made it challenging at certain points, right?
Yeah.
But what's it called?
Right. Pokemon Black and White. When you're going to fight the Elite Four for the first time, because it's part of the story. Before you fight the Elite Four, they're like level 40 something, and then you continue the story. And then after the story, you go back, they're like level 70 and up. When you're barely like level 40 or 50.
Yeah, but so the Pokemon games have found ways to make it difficult, so that it has that balance where it isn't just so easy you breeze through it until the most recent one. Now, I've been one to heavily voice my disdain for the recent Pokemon game, because it's not like it was bad or the Pokemon designs were bad and stuff. My main complaint was that they made it too easy. because they added in raids, and the issue with raids was they rewarded you with these things called XP candies. Now there was small, medium, large, and extra large XP candies, right?
Right.
And basically what these did was if you fed them to your Pokemon, it would give them like a large amount of XP, meaning you can just grind a bunch of those raids, get the candies, and level up your Pokemon that way rather than fighting trainers, battling wild Pokemon, and grinding and doing that grind aspect, so that when the time came to face the gym, you had Pokemon on equal leveling, Whereas because of this, there was times where, because I had those XP candies and fed them to my Pokemon, I would go to fight the gym, and like my Pokemon, like all my Pokemon were 5 levels higher than the gym. And it was like that throughout the entire game. There wasn't a point where I was under leveled. It was always I was over leveled. And like you could say that's on my part, but that's why you see, especially heavily now, for the most part, people don't even do just a regular playthrough their first time in the game. They start doing, Nuzlocke or implementing other challenges, like you can't over level for the next gym leader. You can't use healing items during battles, stuff like that. They start implementing ways to make it harder because the Pokemon games inherently started getting easier and easier.
Right. Don't you think it's like... Wait, are there like difficulty modes? Like, or is it just right off the get-go, you just begin the game?
Yeah, right off the get-go, you begin the game. There's no such thing as selecting a difficulty in Pokemon.
But don't you think it's like still like directed for like kids, and like kids are starting like Pokemon?
Yeah, that's why I said it's supposed to. It's not supposed to be hard because it's a kids game, but Nintendo, Pokemon, Game Freak, they forget that their audience is much larger than what their target audience is.
And speaking of difficulty of games, was there like ever that one game that was so difficult to you that you just simply gave up on it?
There's been quite a lot, actually.
Well, like, what was the most hardest that you simply just got mad at and just never touched it again?
That's a tough one.
Mm-hmm.
I know for a while, but again, it's the thing of like when you revisit a lot of these games when you're older, it's like not as difficult, But I know for a while when like back in middle school, BioShock had me stuck at a couple points. I think that's the only one that I can name right now off the top of my head.
Right. I think for me, there was this one game. It's a racing game on the PlayStation 2. And I'm still stuck in a 2-day. I cannot pass this one level. It's a racing game under the name of Tokyo Extreme Racer Drift. It's a really generic name, but like there's this one like race you have to defeat a boss, right? Like like any other racing game. But what they do is like, basically in old racing games, when you bump into someone, the collision effects of old games never process through correctly, so you always end up behind the boss every time they hit you, if that makes sense. And they pretty much abuse that so much that you constantly lose. And like the only way to beat them is to basically cheat in a sort of way where you simply bump into them every time to the point where they get dropped out of like the racing course, if that makes sense. And you win like that. Like you could beat it legit, but not that many people have done it yet. Which is like the most, that's what I'm saying. This is the most difficult aspect of just this one race. But like in terms of different games, have you ever played the veteran modes on like Call of Duty games?
A couple times.
Have you ever like completed them fully?
No. See, my thing when it comes to difficulties, I know like people like have a lot of different opinions on it. But usually if like it's gonna be a story based game and like I truly want to enjoy like the story of it, I'll probably play it on one of like not necessarily easy mode, but like normal or something like that,
Right.
Because it's like you want to enjoy the aspect of the game and not constantly be getting frustrated because you're struggling to do one thing a certain way or something like that.
Right.
Like I think it was the Saint Row games where it was like I remember like watching a couple playthroughs of it, and like whenever you chose a difficulty, it was like it would say like, oh, easy mode for like laid back, normal for essentially I think it would say like how the game's meant to be played, and then hard mode for like those who want to challenge.
Yeah.
And I think more games should do that, where they have a set mode of like how the game is intended to be played. A mode maybe easier for obviously like maybe the younger ones who aren't gonna be as like skilled or put much thought into the game.
Right.
Then for the people who truly want it, like some type of difficulty increase.
Yeah. Okay. I guess I could go on to the next topic. What are your thoughts on cutscenes in a game? Would you rather prefer short and sweet cutscenes or long and profound cutscenes?
I think you need a mix of both.
What? A bit of both?
Yeah, like a mix of both in order for it to work.
Right.
Because obviously you don't want a ton of cutscenes to where your whole game is just cutscenes and you're not really playing much. But then you also don't want to include like meaningless cutscenes. You want to like if there's a short cutscene, it's like maybe to like transition from one point to another.
Right. So I'm pretty sure I've already told you this, but do you already know of Death Stranding? And it's 2-hour cutscene.
Oh yeah, I've heard about that.
So those who don't know, Death Stranding is a game made by Kojima Studios. Basically, it stars Norman Reedus, the guy from The Walking Dead with the crossbow. Basically, the whole game is like a very like specific. It's a very specific walking simulator. That's pretty much what it is. But at the end of the game, the climax of the game involves a 2-hour-long cutscene, basically a movie. You're just watching a movie. But just a 2-hour cutscene where at one point, like in midway, you could like walk your character for like 5 seconds. Just like walk through another hallway. And you just go back into the cutscene again. But that's the thing though, it's literally 2 hours long. So I'm wondering, like, do you think cutscenes can be something just a bit too problematic in terms of how long they take?
Yeah, definitely. I do love the games that include the options to skip, like, certain cutscenes,
Right.
Because, I can't remember what 2K it was. It might have been 18 or 17. But they had this, like, really annoying issue where they implemented all these long cutscenes, and like a lot of them were very cringe, and they didn't give you the option to skip, so you just had to sit there and listen and watch the cutscenes play out and not be able to skip them at all. Your only option was just to put it on mute until it was over.
Yeah. I feel like what games should do is like give you the option to skip if there's no important dialogue to follow.
Yeah.
Because if let's say you're given the option to skip every cutscene, but like there's like an important event that goes on, like maybe a character dies, or you gain a new friend, or you gain a new item, but they explain it to you in the cutscene and not in the game, then you just got to go back and watch it on YouTube somehow.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah, but, so I think you definitely need a mix of it because you don't want overly long cutscenes. Obviously, if done right, they can do really good. But, like, you also don't want them, in a way, too short where they basically accomplish nothing.
Right.
Because, like, I feel like you'd run into the issue there where people would just be like, well, is this a game or am I just watching, like, a movie about it? If there's, like, not only just too many long cutscenes, but too many cutscenes in general. Like, imagine if Overwatch does a campaign and, like, you do missions, but, like, for the most part, it's just a bunch of, like, the animated shorts that they do. It's like at that point you would feel like, well, why am I even playing a campaign? They could have just essentially given us a campaign through, like, a little, like, movie through their animated shorts.
Right.
Obviously, I appreciate their animated shorts because they're so well put together and probably take tons of hours and money just to make them. But, like, that would be kind of the point in case, you know, if they were to do a campaign like that where there's just a ton of cutscenes and you're just like, why not just have uploaded these to YouTube and I could have just watched them then and there when I had time.
Right.
But yeah, I think it all depends on the game and how, like, they implement it.
Yeah, it's understandable.
But so, speaking of games, you know, we got, like, just a short amount of time. Like, maybe just, like we don't have to go into, like, detail on, like, a definitive answer. But, like, what are some of your favorite video game series of all time? Or just video game in general?
Video game? I mean, series-wise, I would throw in the Gran Turismo series, the racing game series. Mm-hmm. Only because it was just, like, it's realism and, like, it's simplistic, like, UI, user interface. And a really good soundtrack. Like, every time you, like, you're just in the menu screen just to, like, play the game, it throws in, like, some soft jazz at you and you just feel calm. But, like, in terms of, like, fighting games, Yakuza would definitely be a really good series. I think the game's, like, now, like, 9 games long. Mm-hmm. Like a spin-off. How do you call it? Like, my favorite game of all time. I'm not sure where to pull my finger at that one. Because there's a lot of really good games I like.
Yeah.
Like the Need for Speed series. Need for Speed 2015 was a really good game. Only because it was, like, super realistic and, like, involved, like, real life characters, like, in the cutscenes and stuff like that, which was, like, pretty cool. Well, to have my favorite game of all time, I'm not sure. I'll be quite honest. It might be the game called Midnight Club 3, which was like a... What happened?
No, I'm saying I remember Midnight Club.
Yeah, Midnight Club 3. Well, I think it was called, like, the Dub Edition Remix or something like that. It was it was like one of my first childhood games on the PlayStation 2. I had so much fun with that thing, but the stupid thing that I would do is I would never save my game.
Oh.
So every time I would start up the game, it would just reset me back to, like, level 1, you know, with the first starting cutscenes, because back then I didn't know what to do. But I can't really point a game, like, to one game that's, like, my all-time favorite. Like, a bunch of Call of Duties were my favorite, but then, you know, Black Ops 1 was my favorite, Black Ops 2 was my favorite, Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3 were really good.
It's because they're so diverse, you know? It's hard to really nail down, which is why I said, you know, it doesn't have to be definitive, just, like, throw a bunch of answers, like how you did. You went, like, with different genres of games, you know?
Right.
For me, as far as, like, series, the Pokemon series, obviously.
Right.
Technically counts as a JRPG, so I guess you could put it up there as one of my favorite JRPG series of all time. Up there with Dragon Quest.
Right.
Fighting games, well, not necessarily fighting, but, like, in terms of, like, it's like the party style. Gotta throw the Smash Bros series up in there.
Oh, I see.
Smash Bros, in my opinion, is one of, like, the perfect games, because especially recently they've done just such a good job of including, like, a diverse cast, you know.
Yeah.
Like, before it was like, oh, Smash Bros is a series where all your favorite, like, Nintendo characters come together, and you could have, like, these different battles between, like, a lot of these different characters that you never see interact.
Right.
But then they started going to, like, third parties and implementing all these other different characters, and it was like, dang, it went from seeing some of your favorite Nintendo characters fight together to now all of a sudden you have Solid Snake and Ryu and Ken and Joker from Persona 5, Steve from Minecraft. You know, all these different characters just coming together in a fighting game form.
Yeah.
So I throw that up there as one of my favorite series. As far as like solo player games, gotta throw Nier Automata in there. Gotta throw the BioShock series in there. Black Ops 2 is definitely high up on my list just because the memories made with that game. It was literally peak life at that point.
Yeah.
Playing Modern Warfare 3 and Black Ops 2 were literally the best times you could ask for. And especially because it was everything combined when it came to that run of MW2, BO1, MW3, BO2. That was literally like the greatest run I've seen in video games of all time. Because you had BO1, campaign, multiplayer, zombies, all hit. Modern Warfare 2, campaign, multiplayer hit. Modern Warfare 3, you had the survival mode. You had the multiplayer. You had the campaign. Black Ops 2, campaign, multiplayer, zombies. All of like that 4-game stretch was just the absolute best I've seen out of video games in like a while.
Yeah.
And like you don't see that nowadays. Like think about it. BO3, BO4, Modern Warfare, Cold War, World War II, like those run of games recently, they can't amount to that 4-game run of MW2, BO1, Modern Warfare 3, BO2. Like it's insane to think like they just had 4 classics back to back to back.
Well, wasn't it because of like just like the director's vision of the game? And once like microtransactions coming in with like the supply drops, that pretty much just ruined it.
Yeah. Like never forget that Call of Duty Ghost dropped, and after like a month, people just dropped it and went back to Black Ops 2. Advanced Warfare came out, and people just dropped it, went back to Black Ops 2, Modern Warfare 3. Like, I think tying back to like what matters most in like playing a game, or like not really what matters most, but what makes a video game series or just a video game in general so great is its longevity and its timelessness, you know?
Yeah.
I guarantee we could find PS3s, plug them in, and play Black Ops 2 again, and it'd still be as great as it was all those years ago. You can say, sure, the graphics and stuff wouldn't hold up, but like the gameplay aspects of it all, and just, you know, that ability to have that fun, you know, tying into our previous episodes about how, you know, our video games getting like too repetitive and competitive. It was that time to have fun, you know. If you like how we mentioned, you don't see that in a lot of video games now because everything's so ultra competitive and stuff.
Right.
But I definitely would throw that 4-game stretch up in there. Not only is my favorite games, but like as I said, like that favorite stretch of games, because like it was just so great.
Right. I feel like my favorite game, perhaps, would be the longest game I've ever played for, and it would be Grand Theft Auto 5. Because I think at this point I've been playing the same game for 8 years now. 8 years, ever since it came out on the PlayStation 3. And then it survived an entire PlayStation 4, the generation of PlayStation 4. And now on the PlayStation 5, which is going to get an enhanced and expanded version. Dude, back on the PS3 days, I made so many memories. And I just wish you were there, Jeff. But I understand the situation. But GTA was like one of those games where like it'll let you like it seems like a game where there's not a lot to offer, but what Rockstar did, aside from like the money incentive, of course, the thing that they did is that they allowed all the DLCs to be free. And only because people wasted money on the game buying like a digital currency called from shard cards where you gain in-game money. They threw in like a bunch of like DLCs and vehicles and like specific missions and like activities you could do with friends, stuff like that. There's so many activities to do even today. There's like a battle royale mode. There's a mode where you could do like stunt races, like Hot Wheels, like sort of type tracks. You could do like where like everyone's against one, like and like that one is like in a juggernaut suit, and then there's like what was it called? Like a mission where you could like use the Batmobile to like ram off like a delivery truck, like from getting to like the vantage point using speed racer like vehicles. Like from like the anime Speed Racer, you know like that one car. You could drive that car and like use it as like a defensive vehicle or something. While the enemy uses Batmobiles. Surprisingly, the Batmobile's in the game as well. And like there's so many references to like real life like counterparts. Like they have the Batmobile, like, as I said. There's the Batmobile, the Speedmobile, the Speed Racer car. There's the Kit car. There's a bunch of different other movie related stuff and real life counterparts to like actual like racing vehicles like rally cars, or you can remake the Judge. What was it called? The orange car with the Confederate flag on top. You can remake that. But yeah, there's so many memories I made of way back when it was like around 2013, 2014 when the game dropped.
Yeah.
And I still remember the only reason I got that game was because I convinced my parents that there was Don Cheto in one of the radio stations. And that was the only reason I was able to get that game. But aside from that, I mean, the fact that it poured in pretty much 8 years into that game speaks a lot.
Yeah, speaks to the timelessness of games.
Yeah, I don't think that's a good thing now that I think about 8 years of my life just into this one game, aside from other games. This is the one I pretty much played the longest at this point.
Well, depending on your outlook, it can be a good thing or it can be a bad thing. But
True.
with about 2 minutes left, we'll close out here. I've been your host, Jack with a clogged left ear.
I've been Dominic Castillo with Tumby's poster in my bedroom.
We want to thank you all for joining us here on the Rule 34 podcast for another episode. As always, if anyone would like to join us, the door is open to anyone who would like to discuss anything and everything with us as our tagline goes. We want to thank you for joining us for another episode. As always, if it exists, we have an opinion on it. Thank you, and we will see you all in the next episode.